So I'm welcoming Kyle Parry this afternoon, and I'm not going to say too much about you, Kyle, because it's always easier, always best for you to introduce yourself. So, Kyle, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're based and what you're involved in. Can you?
Sure. Thank you for having me for starters. So my name is Kyle. I'm the youth pastor in Bethel Baptist Church in Pontyclun, and I've been the youth pastor for nearly 4 years now. I'm coming up to my
You don't look old enough, Kyle. So after primary school, you went straight into youth work, did you?
literally ducked out of A levels and just went straight here.
Yeah.
No, I think I look a bit older today actually, just because we've had kids club year this week in church. No, it adds a few years onto you. It does when you're working with the younger ones. But yeah, I started in 2020, and I started whilst studying alongside my youth degree from Regent's Theological College, which is the Elim Bible College in Malden. So yeah, I've been at this church for 5 years now, and yeah, loving it. What else about me do I think? Married to Amelia, that's quite important. I think we got married in September.
Nice. Yeah,
We got
good.
married in September, so we're sort of journeying that together, enjoying ourselves, working out marriage and working out ministry together as well. But honestly, having a great year so far, which has been really encouraging.
Brilliant. Thank you. So, like you say, it's you lead the youth work in Bethel Baptist Church in Pontyclun. For those who don't know Pontyclun, it's down sort of Talbot Green, Llantris, somewhere at the bottom of the valleys, isn't it? Not far from Cowbridge. Tell us a little bit about the ministry that you're doing. Now, I'm interested to hear a little bit about Flourish, okay? But I don't want you to say too much about Flourish because that's not your main area, but there is a connection. And then we're going to chat with Amelia, your wife, at some stage, and she'll fill us in a bit more about Flourish. But just tell us very briefly that connection with Flourish, would you?
Sure. So being a youth pastor, I know that young people spend the majority of their times in school. So a big part of our ministry was how do we get into the schools and how do we impact the culture in the schools, how do we impact the young people in the schools, but also like the staff as well. So we started something called the Flourish Project. We got involved with the charity called the Proton Foundation, and they run an 8-week wellbeing course called the Flourish Project. Which is basically, I won't go too much into it because I know Amelia will share some stories and a bit more depth into that. But basically, it was a great tool for us to use to get into comprehensive schools so that we could create those relationships with those young people. Because we obviously have our regular youth night on a Friday and different things throughout the week with the young people. But the real way that we would connect with them is spending time in the schools then. So yeah, Flourish Project's a massive part of how we do our outreach.
Brilliant. So I'm looking forward now to, because I haven't spoken to Amelia yet about the Flourish project, but I'm looking forward to hearing for her to put really the meat on the bones as far as what Flourish project is and how it fits into into your ministry. I'm interested to know about because it was a new concept for me when you shared it when we spoke a couple of weeks ago about Nerf gun ministry that you have. Now it's me that's called it the Nerf gun ministry, but just go on, tell people who don't know, because I didn't know anything about Nerf guns.
We looked it up now.
I have looked it up now. Yeah. But there's lots of people out there who possibly won't know anything at what a Nerf gun is, and so go on, tell us about it then, Kyle, and how that again fits into your ministry.
Yeah, so we're trying to work out like how we create more relationships with our young people that would come into Flourish Project. So we wanted to journey with them with their well-being, but also like journey with them in their faith as well, and just their lives, because that is my job, is to serve young people. So we're trying to work out like what would young people want to come to, what are the sort of things that they enjoy doing. And we did come across Nerf guns, and Nerf guns are like it is a fake toy gun basically with like a little it's not a plastic bullet, it's like polystyrene bullet, and people have Nerf wars. So there's birthday parties.
Nerf wars. Okay.
Yeah, basically. So like everyone would have a Nerf gun. You'd have your goggles on, and you basically fight with Nerf guns. You're trying to shoot different people. It's sort of like laser tag, but it's actual like proper bullets being shot at you. And
proper polystyrene bullets.
Polystyrene bullets shot at you. Yeah.
Just get that clarity. Yeah.
People won't be coming back if they think it's going to be real bullets.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's like that when we're chatting to the church as well, though, because obviously a lot of people don't get it. They don't, like, for kids when we're talking about Nerf guns, their eyes light up. But for the different generation, they're not really sure what it is.
Yeah,
but it is just is a game that you can play. It's like when your kids are younger and you're playing with swords and different things like that. Nerf gun is one of those. So we realized that like people are really keen to do Nerf gun wars, so we decided that we would try one in our church and use that as like an outreach opportunity to bring people from the schools to come and spend more time with us in the church as well. So we launched our first one in March 2023, just over a year ago now. We had 106 young people turn up on that night, which was like, it was crazy really, because we didn't know the scope of what the Nerf gun nights would, or what the success would be. We didn't know how many young people would turn up. We knew we were working with roughly like 100 young people a week through the Flourish project, but we weren't really sure if they would come, who would come from the schools, if any. So it was great that we saw that in March. And I'll give you a quick run through of like how the Nerf gun night works.
Sure. Yeah.
So I get a good vibe towards that then. So they come in at 6 o'clock. We get them into teams. We do like a quick brief of like saying, hi, this is the plan for the night. My name's Kyle. I'm the youth pastor. Great to have you with us. I know everyone's buzzing for Nerf guns, so like I'm not going to talk much more. Let's get into it. So we have 2 arenas in the night where they can actually play Nerf wars. So teams will be split up. They'll either be playing, or they'll be in our food station where we like do free pizza or free hot dogs, different things like that. Then we do, now we didn't do it at the time, but we sort of like advanced it. So now we have like a target practice room. Because we have a balcony as well. So we have like I don't know, a watch zone. That's what we call it. So like you can watch the game. You can watch the games being played. And we did used to have a water break, which was where we would give teams chance to chill out, but then we'd share something around our faith as well in that moment.
Okay.
But we've sort of changed that now, where everyone comes together for the water break halfway through.
Okay.
So in our last Nerf gun night we just had now, we had 140 young people, and we just piled them all into one room. And it was just a chance for some of my young people to share their testimonies about how they became a Christian. It's very light, because we know people are coming for Nerf guns, but we just want to share a part of who we are, like why we do it. And then moving forward, our hope is that they stick around and they get to know more about who Jesus is.
Brilliant.
Yeah, we have a team of around 30 leaders on the night, because because you're trying to look at like 2 leaders per team. And we have 8 teams. So you're looking at 16 leaders straight away. Then you've got kitchen staff, you've got referees, you've got tuck shop people, you've got ice cream people, you've got like facilitators who are trying to make sure the night runs smoothly. Then we have sometimes people praying in the prayer room for us as well. So there's a lot of like adults that are needed to perform the Nerf night as well.
Yeah. I know that, with you saying that you've got 30 adults sort of as in support roles with this. Okay. Now I know that the church, Bethel Baptist Pontyclun, has been really very, very supportive of this, hasn't it? Well, supportive of your ministry, and prior to you, supportive of Chris Bullock's ministry with the youth as well. There's a history really in Bethel Pontyclun of support and encouragement for youth ministry. So just share a little bit about that, how valuable that is to you, and how important that is to you as a youth leader, that the church is actually behind you. Can you?
Yeah, I remember being in Bible college a few years ago, and it was sort of drummed into us that people see youth ministry as like a stepping stone into real ministry, into like adult ministry. And I never and people would say that your pastor might not like think much of you doing it, and they might not say a lot to you or encourage you, and the church won't think much of it. But I've really not had that in Bethel, which has been really encouraging. Like John, our pastor, is involved in our Nerf gun nights. He's either leading teams or facilitating different things, and he's like really supportive, to the point of where we have 2 full-time youth workers basically. And you know, in Wales, we're not really seeing one youth worker in a lot of churches, let alone for us to have 2. So we're really encouraged by like the generosity of the church, or people have funded roles to be able for Flourish and things like that, to be able to allow us to run Flourish project. And yeah, it's been a real buzz in church, because they're seeing the fruit of what youth ministry is. Like we're seeing our young people who have come to church all their lives really decide to follow Jesus, to get baptized. But then we're also seeing this other group of people that are coming through school, and we've had people that have given their lives to Jesus and got baptized recently through the school as well. So you're seeing the benefit of it, and the church are behind it because they see what God is doing through the ministry. Brilliant. So I've always been really encouraged by people, like financially, but also like spiritually and physically as well. You know, everyone wants to hear, "Oh, you're doing a good job," or like, "Oh, you know, that was awesome," or "I can't believe you had that many people in the church," because it just encourages you, and it encourages your team as well. Because what I always think is, like, without my team, I wouldn't be able to do it. We want to try and encourage these people to come through and these volunteers to serve, because it could continue without me, but it definitely won't continue without them. So we need to be sure.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. I'm just picturing that you've got, you know, loads of adults there from the church in supportive roles. Do you have any, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, do you have any problems keeping them away from the Nerf guns? You know, because adults are quite competitive, and I'm just, you know, thinking, oh, I'd like to have a go at that. Yeah. Do you have to have rules, no adults, or
with our group leaders, we would encourage them to get involved if they wanted to.
Okay.
Because there's not actually any like physical contact, as in like no barging or anything like that, no running. The rules allow us to be able to sort of play.
Okay.
But I'd say like it's limited to like, some leaders love that. Some leaders are not really that keen to get involved. So it's not a rule either way. It's like, if you're keen and you want to get involved, you get involved. But if not, that's fine as well.
Okay. So you do let them get involved, the adults now.
Yeah. Brilliant. We're talking about doing like a young adults Nerf night as well, because there's a scope for people they want to have a Nerf gun night for themselves. So we're in talk of seeing, hopefully, that coming to actually happen in the next few months as well, which would be cool.
Brilliant. So obviously, you know, the Nerf gun night is a big part of what you do as a ministry, etc. Let me ask you about a couple of other things with regard to the youth ministry that you lead there. One of the things that I picked up when we spoke was how you try to create family amongst the youth and the youth group. Yeah. Did I hear that correctly? You know, when we spoke previously, share a bit more about that then, Kyle.
100%. It's coming back to the volunteers are the people that are needed the most. Because I know some churches would employ a youth worker and think that then they've found the answer, but they haven't, because one youth worker on his own can't do it. But when you have a team built together, that's when you see things happening. Like a lot of our conversations over the last few months have been, we want to do this in youth ministry, we want to do this in youth ministry, but we haven't got enough team to be able to do it. And I know full well, if there's youth workers, they'll listen to this, they'll feel that as well. Because volunteers is one of the hardest things in church, to find people to do things. So we wanted to make sure that it didn't just feel like coming and just doing a job and going home, because church shouldn't feel like work. And sometimes we've made it feel like work. And I'm very blessed that like my team are able to spend time outside of the youth ministry. So like my example is, we've committed to go in for food with each other after youth every other week.
Have you?
Yeah. Wow. So what I share is like, we're not perfect in like building family, but we're trying to do that more. I guess it's like any family, not perfect, but trying to build that relationship with love. So we, like last week, we were in Canton somewhere, trying this new food restaurant together, and we got a few like vegan, vegetarians, and we got some meat like love us. So trying to find a place that like caters for everyone. But in that, we're having chats about youth, but we're actually having chats about deeper things as well, like who we are, like what our background is, because our church is like a relatively good size for like Wales and for where we are. So it's hard to get to know people. It's really hard, even with the team that I have. But when you eat food together, you don't just eat food, do you? You share your lives with each other as well. So with the adult youth leaders, that's what we've been seeing, is like us building family. And only the last few months really, we've built a bigger team, because I've shared it by going, this isn't just serving young people, but it's getting to know people and becoming a family. And we're seeing the right people come on team from that. Because some people feel like they have to help because they hear how much is going on. But I don't want that. I want to find the people who care about young people, they care about Jesus, and they want to grow deeper together as well.
Brilliant. Brilliant. One of the things that you said that struck me when we spoke previously was that I want my young people to be as outreach focused as I am. Yeah, or words to that effect. Remember saying that?
100%, yeah.
You do? Like, okay, good. So expand on that then.
Yeah, is the language I use always like comes out when I'm talking about young people, because I'm trying to mirror what I want my young people to be. And outreach focus is a massive part of that, because I think I was talking about discipleship, and I was saying that the way that we do discipleship is that we do those things together. So if I'm preaching, my favorite times to preach is if I'm preaching with one of my young people, because if I'm preaching on my own, it's quite lonely. Like if you've preached before, and I know many people would have preached before listening, it's quite lonely because you're doing all the prep on your own, and then you bring it to the church on the Sunday, and that's the first time sometimes that you've shared it with even anyone. Whereas when you're doing it with a young person, you're back and forth chatting, right, how is this going to work? Then we always like go through it together in church. Like, let's rehearse it. Let's do it again. Because discipleship is mirroring Jesus. So I want my young people to be a part of the journey of seeing how church looks, how Jesus wanted us to do it. And I think that's how young people grow. We tell them about Jesus, and my young people know who Jesus is. And I can continue to share the gospel with them, which we do. But I know if I share my lives with them, that is the thing that changes them, because they don't see Kyle as someone who preaches the gospel. They see Kyle as someone who actually lives out, or tries to live out, his faith. So me and Amelia, we're keen to have food with people, like our young people. Even Sunday now, me and Amelia training to do the Newport Marathon, and one of the girls in youth is training to do the Newport Half Marathon. So I was like, oh, why don't you just come with us and we'll do a long run together? And like for some people, that doesn't really mean very much. It's like, oh, you just go and running. But it's not. We're sharing our lives with our young people. So in terms of like the outreach focus thing, it isn't just that. It's like we want to share every part of who we are. Obviously, like our ministry is very outreach focused. So I want my young people to be outreach focused as well, so that they can help to serve us in that. And that's why like we've gone to places in the Rhondda, and we've done Nerf Nights. We've taken our young people to Rwanda because we wanted to show them mission, and all these things lead them closer to Jesus. Like one of our young people getting baptized on Sunday, she became a Christian on the plane home from Rwanda in the summer. Like all of that's from me going, look, I'm like you. Like I make mistakes, I mess up, but there's this man named Jesus, and I even if I described him to you, I still don't do a good job because he's that incredible. But I'll show you what he's given me. I'll show you what it looks like to live life to the full. And young people see that, and they want that. Not that they want like exactly what my life looks like, but they want to see a glimpse of what it looks like to be a Christian and to be a follower of Jesus. And that's where it is being outreach focused, but it is just sharing our lives with one another. That's how I've seen young people grow in their faith anyway. So I want to try and continue doing more of that.
Because when I'm listening to you and I'm hearing that's the way Jesus did discipleship as well, in that Jesus had a public ministry, in that, Sermon on the Mount, and he taught in the temple, but he also had a private ministry, in that he discipled, the 12, and that was over food, and that's just sharing his life with his disciples, which is remarkable, really, isn't it, when you think about who he is. But that's what you're doing. You're sharing your life with these young people, and they're seeing, you're open to them, and they're seeing the Jesus in you. Brilliant. Well done, Kyle. Well done. Tell me a little bit about, you've sort of given us glimpses of the fruit that you're seeing, okay? And I don't mean just the numbers that come to Nerf Gun Night. I mean, the people who are youngsters who are, just making that decision. Yeah, I want to follow Jesus. Tell us a little bit about that. What's encouraging you as a youth leader, that you're seeing God at work, because you're seeing the evidence of youngsters, giving their lives to Jesus. And can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's always a difficult one, where I have so many stories. Some of them are like, can be public, but like, I want you to know, like, there's so many stories that I can't share, but like,
I'm sure
God is doing something incredible in some young people. And my prayer is that in the future they share that story.
Of course. Yeah.
Just my encouragement is, I'm seeing God doing some awesome things, some that are public and some that are private, but I'm seeing young people going on a journey of, some of them not knowing Jesus, to in 6 months getting baptized. Some have been to church all and only recently have they decided that Jesus is for them. And I don't think that it is to do with what we're doing, because we try to be simple in how we do things. Like, the book I've been reading recently is called Simple Church, and we're trying to be simple in how we do things. And I just think God's really blessing what we're doing. Like, honestly, like, one of my hardest things is that since I've been here, I haven't really grown the Friday youth ministry. So like, we've always been at, like, I know no one ever wants to talk about numbers, but we've always been at like a 25, 30. And that's where we've pretty much been consistently all the way in my ministry. And when I first came in, I was like, oh, I want to grow that. But what we've seen is God growing our schools ministry. Like, he's blessed us to go from being involved in 0 schools to 7. Like, it just don't happen like we think it should happen. Like, what I think growth looks like is God just goes, nah, that's not what it is. Like, it is actually, rather than me being inward focused, we're actually outward focused. That's why, like, we're all about outreach, because we care about the young people in our church, and they know that, and they see that, and that's why we walk with them. But ultimately, we're a youth group that wants people to find Jesus, and that's why we employ a full-time Flourish project manager to be able to go into the schools and open doors and chat with young people. And with the media as well, she struggled to share some stories because they won't be public. But
absolutely, yeah.
There's so many young people that are struggling, and we get to be a part of their journey, which is so sad that we have to do that, but so rewarding for us as well that we get to do that. So like I said, one of my young people is getting baptized on Sunday. She's been a Christian only since the summer, but she's grown up in church all her life. Okay. And only coming here did she see what church is really like. And that's not because she's been to a church that was bad. She just didn't enjoy it. But she's come here, and she came here last May, and by August she's coming to Rwanda with us. And then God's done something with her in that week where she won't mind me like sharing this, but like God really like broke her heart when we were there, and he was doing things in her, and there was prophetic moments where people would share things that were about her, but she hadn't told anyone.
Brilliant. Obviously, God was on her case and drawing her, and I'm sure. Well, it's a massive encouragement, not just to you as the youth leader, but to the whole team, isn't it? When you see God at work and bringing that fruit. Oh, well done, Kyle. Listen, I'm going to ask you one more question, okay? Because this sort of ministry, it might be just me that thinks this, but from my perspective, youth ministry is challenging, I would think. Okay. That's possibly because I'm not a youth leader. I never have been, never had a heart for it. But is it challenging at times? And what do you feel are, again, not going into specifics as to or he is challenging or she is challenging, nothing like that. But in general, is it challenging? Can it be challenging? And what are the things that sort of challenge you as a youth leader? And how can people help you in those challenges? Pray for you, whatever. Anyway, go on, share with us.
Yeah, obviously the answer is yes. There's a lot of challenges that we face as youth pastors, and I think when you meet different youth pastors, you already got that bond with each other because you know what it's like. I think that's why me and Chris Bullock are close, is because we do have hobbies that we both like football and things like that. But he knows what it's like to be a youth pastor, and he knows what it's like to be a youth pastor of my church as well, because he had done it for over 5 years when he was here. So when we youth pastors are sharing and different things like that, like you grow closer. Like I know you've shared with Alice and different things like that, and there's a lot of challenges that we share together as youth pastors, and one of them is just you're facing and battling culture a lot, where there's better things in the world if you don't know Jesus. So, and I share this with my young people. The only thing that will keep you in church is you believing in Jesus. Because would I rather, if I wasn't a Christian, would I rather come to church on a Sunday, listen to some songs, someone speaks for half an hour, then we all have a cup of tea that's probably not as good as it could be in a coffee shop, and then we go home and have a cooked dinner? Or would I rather have a lie-in in the morning?
It's the reality of it, isn't it? Really?
That's what we're facing. We're facing a world now that gives so much more to young people than the church can if they don't know Jesus. Like if they know Jesus, there's no comparison. There's nothing better. But not every young person knows Jesus. The reality is, in the youth group, not everyone's going to know Jesus. And even if they are showing signs that they are, like, they're still living in the world. They're still going to school. It's really hard. Like it's hard for them. So the biggest struggles is like supporting them in that. Like there is wider struggles with like church and just general things like that and finances, but that's always going to be like a problem. I think like for youth pastors, and this is true across the board, youth pastors care so much about the young people that are like, they put themselves second all the time. Like when I think of challenges, I wasn't really thinking about myself. I was just thinking about the young people, and it's because like it's my job. Like I've been called. This is my calling, is to help young people find Jesus. Brilliant. So the biggest challenge is I've got to fight culture. Like I've got to be on my knees praying for some young people, because the culture is winning. And we don't want culture to win. We don't want the world to win. We know Jesus wins in the end, but we want young people to find Jesus now so that they can have life and life to the full as well. So, brilliant. The challenges are we're battling culture, the world around us, and we don't have things that are better unless you know who Jesus is.
Yeah. That is the challenge, and it's the reality of the challenge. But the prayer is that these young people, by sort of seeking the world, will actually eventually find, and hopefully before they get hurt, will eventually find, actually the world isn't offering me anything at the end of the day. And then realize, come to the realization that, of what Jesus offers. That's the prayer. Kyle, listen, thank you so much for taking some time and to share with us what God is doing in Pontyclun and in your ministry. And I'm looking forward to catching up with Amelia, and she can expand a bit more on Flourish. Is there anything else that you want to say before we say goodbye? Or let me just say, if anybody wants to get in touch with you, Kyle, I'll put some details on, okay, so that they can get in touch with you, and that'll be in the description. But is there anything that in particular that you would like people to to pray for you or whatever, or anything you want to say just to finish off here now?
Yeah, it's just pray for young people across Wales, because I know the whole podcast is around like what is God doing in Wales, and he's doing a lot, but there's also a lot of young people that don't know Jesus, and there's youth leaders who are trying to help people find who Jesus is. So just praying for those young people that, you know, the ground is soft when the seeds are planted, and the young people really take a hold of what they're hearing, because there are people sharing the gospel. There are youth leaders and other volunteers that are sharing Jesus to people. And we want to birth a generation of young people in Wales that are sold out for Jesus. And we pray that we'll see that in our lifetime.
Yeah, thank you. And what you communicated as well, Kyle, is that youth ministry is not an add-on to church. You know, youth ministry is a vital part of church ministry. Hopefully, you've communicated that very well, but hopefully people who have thought that youth ministry was not, you know, a little bit of an extra or an add-on, have had their eyes opened really to the importance and the value of youth ministry. So thanks, Kyle.
Thank
you.
Okay.
Yeah. So see you soon. Okay. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye.